Today's video is brought to you by the Sony Alpha Universe, but more on that a little later. So if you're a photographer or content creator and you're looking for that one perfect lens that can do it all, then this one is probably really close. This is Sony's newest 20 to 70mm f4G lens, so let's take a look at it. So for this video, I'm not going to go over all the technical specs of the lens itself, but rather focus on my experience using it for the last couple of days and my overall thoughts on whether or not this is a good lens and if there is space for this lens in your kit. So for me, I love a 24 to 70 or a 24 to 105mm lens. And for the last couple of months, I've been using a 24-70 G Master 2 lens. And before that, on my previous camera, I had a 24 to 105 lens, and I absolutely love that focal range. Now, the reason I love this focal length range is because of the versatility that you get with it. You can take one lens with you on a trip and know that you're sort of covered for 90% of whatever it is that you want to do without needing to have a bigger bag or extra lenses and having to swap lenses all of the time. Now, what I love about this lens over a kit lens, for example, is the fact that you have an f4 straight through, which for some of you may not sound great, but comparing to a kit lens, which has a variable f-stop, the f4 is really great. And since this is f4, you do get a smaller and lighter lens compared to the likes of the G Master 24 to 70mm, which is 2.8, and it is quite a bit smaller, making this one a little bit better for me while traveling. Now, like I mentioned before, this lens is probably good enough for 90% of whatever it is that you want to do. You can easily take it out and do landscape photography, product shoots as well, since the minimum focus distance is only 25 centimeters at 70mm, making it really good for close-up shots of products. Then you can use it for portraits, automotive photography, and even videos. And apart from, I'd say, wildlife and sports photography, this lens can almost do it all. Then secondly is the fact that this lens can now go from 20mm all the way through to 70. And 4mm may not sound like a lot, but it does actually make a big difference, especially when you're vlogging. And if you're vlogging and you're using stabilization as well, it does crop in a little bit. So having that 20mm that can crop in a little bit is really great if you're vlogging and you want that stable footage. Now, while testing this lens out for a couple of days, making videos, taking pictures with it, I can definitely say that this lens is better than it sounds on paper. I think a lot of people are getting stuck on the focal length being at 20 to 70 and having that debate of why have this lens if there's already a 24 to 70, or if a lot of people use the 16 to 35. And yes, this lens may not be for you, but I feel for content creators, especially vloggers, this is a really good lens. This lens took really great photos. The videos all look really great, and the autofocus for me was on point and really responsive, thanks to the linear motors that you have in all of these newer Sony lenses. So if you're someone that needs good autofocus, then this is also a really good option for you. Now, what makes this lens good for me though is the price, and they are currently open for pre-order locally for around 25,000 Rand, or in the US for around $1,100. And this may sound like a lot, but for a G lens, this is actually fairly well priced, and it might just be a tad bit more expensive than I think a lot of people were expecting this lens to be. Now, what makes G lenses better than standard lenses are the overall quality of glass that they use. You get better weather sealing, etc. with your lenses, and all of those makes for better quality content and for lenses that could potentially last longer than your standard kit lens will. So the bigger question is this lens worth it? And for me, absolutely yes, it is. If you are a photographer or content creator and you're looking for one lens that can do it all, but still somewhat stay on a budget, then this is a really great option for you. Price to quality for me of this lens is absolutely great. The fact that it can go to 20mm makes it great for a lot of people, especially vloggers. And if you're someone like me that makes a lot of videos and does B-roll and everything else, then this one lens can be used for your entire production. I always love making things as easy to use and as minimal as possible, and this one lens does provide a means of doing that. If you were to give me a camera and just this one lens, not a lot of my production or daily use would change. Yes, I may lose some depth of field, but because I mainly do product photography and product shoots anyway, the f4 doesn't really make that big of a difference for me. Overall, if you're looking for a lens that is comparable to the G Master 2 24 to 70 f2 lens, then this is a great starting point. You get a lens with similar quality, but much cheaper than the G Master lenses, and you still get a better quality lens than your standard kit lenses, so this is a really good midpoint for great quality, but still on a budget. Speaking of comparisons, I currently have an event on the Sony Alpha Universe where I compared the 24 to 70 G Master 1 to the G Master 2 to see which one would be better for you and your workflow. So be sure to head over to the link down in the description below to check out that event and register for the Sony Alpha Universe. And then, as always, until next time, cheers.